every third word, or similar noses, smiles, hair color, or whether you're a crier or not. For the record, Grandma says if you're a crier, you're sharp. I think we get a pass today. You're not born knowing what it means to be a creed, you're often told by others. For example, my wife tells me I'm stubborn, and I think I'm always right. She's correct. However, that stubbornness and confidence are what allowed a man to open a high-end department store, start a hotel chain, all the while farming hay in King City. For the creeds, the term "figure it out" is not a catchphrase, question, or a statement. Rather, it's a concept that supports a way of life, and it's difficult to get through any family dinner without it coming out. Figuring it out means failure is just a step on the path to success. Figuring it out is how you become an excellent golfer, skier, horseman, painter, builder, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. While Eddie may have built a brand called Creeds, the strongest brand he built was our family. The relationships we have with our grandparents, aunts, and uncles is very strong. However, the bond we have with our cousins will never be broken. This exists because Grandma and Grandpa consistently bring us together for dinners, family events, and of course, trips to their house in the Dominican. I actually feel the last couple days we experienced that again while we celebrated Eddie's life. Finally, being a creed means you do things differently. It's not our intent to be different, but we do things our own way. I think what we are experiencing here today is just a small part of that. And we're not suggesting it's better or worse, but it's ours. And we think it's the most cherished part of the legacy that Eddie built. Not being influenced or afraid of what others think frees you to be true to yourself. It means not living in the past or the future, but focusing on what's important to you now and doing it. It's how Eddie lives his life, it's how our father lives his, and it's how we try to live ours. Eddie Creed was a legend and will forever live in the hearts and minds of the growing family he and Edie built. Thank you.
There's just not a chance there's something else to say. So I think I'll review it all. Eddie was just a great guy. Whether he's playing the role of farmer, furrier, athlete, hotelier, philanthropist, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, or husband, he was a man who had his mother's creative talent, her incredible taste, and his own amazing style. He made everything look so effortless, so comfortable, and so natural, and so easy. The good thing is it only takes a story or two to understand the type of man that Eddie Creed was. Around 25 years ago, I got a call from my mother on Thanksgiving weekend asking if I had heard from your father. I said, no. Where is he? She said, well, he's up in Algonquin Park to visit a friend, Warner Troyer, an environmentalist, to talk about the fur industry. As she was talking, I was thinking, what could he be up to? Sure enough, Eddie finally called. Edie saying he had lost the car keys. Edie thought, that's no big deal. How did you lose them? Well, he said, we were out on Smoke Lake driving around, maybe having a few drinks or two, and they dumped the boat. Eddie's first reaction was to take off all his clothes, the keys are in his pants, and start to swim for shore. While the pants and keys sink to the bottom of the lake, at almost the same time, Warner's Troyer's wooden leg floated away. He took about 3 strokes and recalled his days at Camp Amick and Chief Taylor Staton. The rules were to hang on to the boat for 3 days and 3 nights. They hung onto the boat, kicked it to shore, and ended up at Don Green's empty cabin. Got dried off, put on some root sweats that hardly fit, and made it home. There's a moral to this story. Eddie wrote a letter to Tyke Staton Taylor Statton's grandson, who now runs Camp Amick, he told Tyke that he had learned a very important lesson from his grandfather at camp that saved his life. Eddie wanted Tyke to keep teaching at camp the lesson to hang on for 3 days and 3 nights. We were very fortunate as a family to have spent wonderful moments in time with Edie and Eddie as all 6 of us faced death straight in the eye. Eddie was a giant of a man, bigger than life personality, with a large, impeccable reputation and a past that followed him everywhere he went. Eddie had charisma. When Eddie talked, you listened. When he did stuff, you followed. His mind and soul were in the same place with tremendous self-confidence. Eddie was a first mover, always ahead of the game. In his case, moving to the farm in '71 when people were starting to live downtown. Going to the DR when people were going to Florida. He did what he loved, and he loved this farm. Eddie was a sports enthusiast. There was always a lot of time to spend with Eddie on the way up north